Especially
They're all alone now.
weather. Yeah. It's sick this time.
Yeah, so we food shop.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife just got her house. Do you have extra?
And we have been here so about.
Do you email on your phone?
I can email it to you.
Okay, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll raise the back page.
I just thought, yeah.
I'll do
Okay,
That'd be great. Yeah. Good finish.
I appreciate
Yeah. Yeah, especially.
It's got little kids. He's doing soccer ball. And, you know, I'm fine with it.
They don't get old.
Well, and sometimes I'm or. I think most of these go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Very good.
Yeah.
The agenda office said you gotta get permission. is it?
We're having trouble with the website, so I sent a message, he's hoping to get that fixed. Sorry about that.
I mean, take it down.
Yeah, he really is. We're still, it's going, we're kind of wondering, it was so crazy.
Yeah, they work.
Excellent. You want to introduce him? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. Internet, good internet.
I don't know if Sarah's got all your computers going or not.
Can we talk to those guys on the screen right now?
Uh-huh.
Just through the
Just
mic?
talk, yeah, just go ahead and talk like you normally, they can hear you.
Hey, Brad. Brad, can you hear me?
Hi, how are you? Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, hi, I've never met you before in person, so I'm Phil. And I'll introduce you tonight when the meeting starts.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, at 7 o'clock, I want to call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. We all please I pledge allegiance to
To the flag
the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Allison, will you please do roll call?
Dave Rutlock,
Here.
Joe Boyd,
Here.
Kathy Brooks.
Here.
Here.
Lynn Norris. Here. Bill Morris.
Here.
Aaron Tinder.
Here. Bill, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, joining us by Zoom tonight is Brad Franklin. He is the representative for Key Equipment that we're looking at purchasing the back truck from. So anyone that has questions about the back truck tonight, you can direct them to Brad. So thanks for joining, Brad.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, we lost Pat, our attorney. I don't know, hopefully he'll hook back up here shortly. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda items, which is the rule of the open closed session minutes from last meeting and the financial statements. Did anybody have any questions on this or the financial statements?
No,
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion.
Approve the minutes and financial statements.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any last discussion or questions? Allison?
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kathy Brooks,
yes,
Yes.
Steve King,
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris. Yes.
All right, next items on the agenda is my reports. First, I want to clarify that asked Phil Morris to be the mayor pro tem. Phil was our mayor pro tem last term. And because then I want to make sure everybody understands Phil is mayor pro tem again this term. So I want to bring that up to everybody. On the 5-year plan, making progress on the sidewalk to Dollar General. If anybody's driven down Franklin, you can see there's been a ton of activity there and we are making good progress on it. Some of the other things on the 5-year plan depend on quite a bit on whether or not we're going to get this back truck we're looking at. So that'll help quite a bit with that. The ARP money, we did get a check for, what was it, Sarah, $123,000?
123,000.
123,000, and that's been deposited. The company Crow that is administering it for Illinois has not set up any educational seminars yet. They did get back to us on one question as far as whether or not the money that we put into upgrading this conference room was going to be eligible for ARPA funding, and it's not. The ARPA funding has to be for expenditures after March of this year. So that won't work. They have not got back to us yet on our question on revenue losses. So that's still outstanding. The sewer study plan, Greg Gustafson from BCA is here tonight. I've asked Greg to kind of talk about it. We're working on the contract. Greg?
Yes, sir. Again, Greg Gustafson with Burns Clancy and Associates. I appreciate you being here and I appreciate us being selected to do the sanitary sewer study. The mayor has provided a markup copy from the village and the village's attorney after we provided a basic copy of an agreement at the last board meeting. We're in the process of going through that and revising a number of sections at the village's request. There's some sections that we'd like to discuss with the village and with the attorney that we feel may be important to retain in the agreement, both for the village and for us. And then we took a look at the scope of services requested and the 5 phases that the village had broke that into. We also have agreement on most of those. There's some things, at least for the initial phase, that we're going to be doing that we want to make sure are included so that a complete enough study is done to put the village in a position to satisfy IEPA as far as their facility planning report details, and that then once that facilities planning report is approved, that pre-approves the village for funding should the village decide to go forward with that. So I think what we want to make sure of is those tasks are included to make sure that the village doesn't come up short with what's been done for that initial phase. So that's pretty much where we're at. I'd like to get that meeting scheduled in the next couple of weeks so that we can keep moving forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have about myself, about Burns Clancy and Associates, or about the sewer study or the agreement itself.
Does anybody have any questions for Greg? Okay, I don't think we have questions at this time. We're just kind of pending now, waiting for you to review our changes, and then looking forward to getting together with you at that meeting with our attorneys, and hopefully we'll get this hammered out.
Okay, I don't see any problem with getting it. Again, our intent is just to make sure it's complete enough to be, EPA has a number of guidelines, and we'll most certainly have copies of those at the meeting to validate what we're suggesting to put into the agreement. Very good, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Greg. And thanks for coming tonight, too.
Yes, sir.
Item is our website updates. Those of you that have studied or looked at our website know it's a little bit out of date, and we've worked with Scott, and Sarah is going to be working with Scott to try and learn how to update our website. So hopefully we'll have more control of it, be able to update it as we need to. Carol is also going to work with Sarah and Scott as a backup. So hopefully we'll get some training and be able to update it ourselves before too long. Next bullet item is the social media policy, and I think we're going to talk about that later on. So I'll just pen that for now, or skip that in my part. Steve, are you planning to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll cover a little bit of that.
Okay. I also do want to update the board that we attended, several of us attended the McLean County Transportation Committee this morning to follow up on our request for a golf cart ordinance change to allow golf carts on county roads. And that's pretty much a dead issue. There's no support for it at the county level. And even though we requested it and explained why, they have a lot of concerns about it. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So I will update you the board again next month, depending on whether or not they go anywhere with it. Next item on the agenda is Denny Engel. Denny?
Me and Mark and Tom went to the water conference here a few weeks ago, and Mark, interrupt me if I'm misspeaking on anything, but there were several things that we learned. But first off, the water usage, 2,939,997 a day. So we're still doing pretty good, I believe, on the water.
I meant to print that, and I apologize, but I didn't. Was it a 2% loss this month?
So
we're doing great.
We've had a little bit higher daily usage, but we haven't had rain until the last few days. So I think we're heading in, still staying in a good direction there. In the water, the cross connection survey that we've had out for a while now, we need to be at 60% to try to be compliant there. We're still not quite there, but we're working on some avenues to get that up over the edge, but we're close. The the thing that we learned at the water conference is, I guess it started at the federal level, right, Mark, and trickled to the state and then to us about the service line inventory, which is what you saw on your water bill, that we have until April of this next coming year to get an initial best guess as to what every address in town is. So I'm hoping, and I think Mark's under the same hope, that we can try to get that totally done by then, not just a best guess, and we have until 23 to get an initial part completed. And then by 27, we'll need to have a plan as to the ones that are not in compliant to get those changed over to a compliant material. And we'll have 15 years to do that. So that was some unwanted good news that we got at the conference. We did order the tests to start to become compliant with the nitrification action plan. As soon as we get those tests in, we're going to start baseline testing for that. And we are supposed to have a plan, and but as to what the specific levels of everything are, they're not putting that information forward to us yet at this time. So we're going to start a baseline level, and that we are monitoring it and follow guidelines once they establish those. So back to the service line issue, if someone has a lead line, that's where they were a little indecisive maybe on how to remedy that. Some of the talks we talked to were village's responsibility, the municipalities, to put that forth to the homeowner. There is an option for the homeowner to refuse to update it to a compliant material and to sign off that they accept the responsibility of that. There was other talks of being able to have options for municipalities to write ordinances to try to force people to become compliant. So a lot of that stuff it just rolled out, and how the enforcement and how the practicality of getting that accomplished, that part of the lawmaking was not thought out yet, is the gist of what I got at the conference. I think that's most of what I had for water. Building and zoning, here I knew of one house, the house that we lost at the corner of Broadway and Franklin. And over the last 2 weeks that I've been not here so much, we're now going to be having 3 houses going here shortly. So one in Prairie View, one in Old Town, and one up here at the corner that we lost the house. The parks, most of the projects that I had on my list in parks are, for the most part, completed. One thing that I would mention now is, for some reason, over the course of the summer, there was a few spots in the spring that I noticed, but over the course of the summer, up around the bleachers and some of the sidewalks and stuff up there at the ballpark, there's a lot of unevenness in the concrete that's developed even more so over the summer. So might need to look at that on the off season as to how we can remedy some of those trip hazards up there going into next season. The streets, the MFT work is basically done, other than the crack sealing in Prairie View. And I talked with them the other day, and they're going to be here within 2 weeks to do that sealing down in the concrete. And Prairie View, I do have several drainage projects that are kind of on hold for a couple different reasons. The main reason being I don't quite have the tools to make the job the easiest to get them accomplished. And then prioritizing trying to get the Dollar General sidewalk completed. I did meet the new manager last night and spoke with her that I might be coming back over there with either the trustee or a mayor and speaking about trying to keep the ball rolling on their end to get their little piece of it complete. But other than that, you can see we are finally getting to the point of getting some sidewalk over here. We got the probably the most difficult piece I think done today, which was the piece actually over the creek. So weather permitting, today or tomorrow, we're going to be pouring on either side of the box culvert. So as mentioned before, we put a fence up to protect from the hazard of the creek. But that piece should be, hopefully by the end of next week, you'll be able to walk from Casey's across the creek and up here to the police department. So we'll still have over here on the south side of the road. So that's, I think, shaping up to be finished before the weather turns. And lastly, and probably most importantly, while I was out, I would really like to thank Mark, Sarah, Tyler, and Phil. Even though I felt horrible most of the time, I felt like I was here through the communication that those guys gave to me. And those guys just, either they followed what I asked for them to do to complete what needed to be done. Mark got a little baptism in zoning, and I think he likes water probably better than zoning. Tyler is just amazing he's learned so much, and he does such a great job. So, and all of this was all run through Phil, and he's great to have to help around. So that's all I have.
The lead and copper rule is going to change too soon. Based upon what we find out with this service survey, we are going to be required to change our testing for our sampling spots for the lead and copper samples. And if you've got, right now we do 20 every 6 months. If you've got 20 lead lines, all 20 samples have to come from those lead lines. And that's going to make compliance hard, because you're going to have paperwork about notifying people they've got lead in their water. But that's coming down the pipe too.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Danny or Mark?
Yeah, is there any easy way to get out to tell everybody how to check their pipes? What pipes you guys are looking for?
We've been doing that on the phone so far as to, based on where you live. In Old Town and you have a pit, depending on how the line comes into your house, that could be a little more challenging, but in the subdivisions, it's pretty easy, but we've been working on that through phone messages.
Okay. And then like the sidewalk, like the house that burned, as when I first came on, we were talking about the sidewalk. They weren't gonna make them do that because they're not gonna be connected. I see all these corner sidewalks going in. Are we doing sidewalks now?
So as the county resurfaced South Broadway, all the approaches that were there, they all upgraded to become ADA compliant. So like on Pearl, that was a sidewalk that went from down near your house to the school. So those intersections that there actually is good sidewalk there, they did those, but the areas where there's not even a sidewalk, but there had been an approach before, they updated those to become under current compliance guidelines. So I was out when they started to frame those up, and Tyler asked me about those, and he said, well, there's no sidewalk there, should we tell them they don't need to put that
there's 2 or
there?
3 of those that go to nowhere.
And I had known that we had talked, and I think maybe it'd been on the planning commission's radar too, that there might be some folks that are talking about a desire to have a sidewalk at some point on South Broadway. There's bits and pieces of non-compliant sidewalk on South Broadway, so I made the decision to go ahead and let them update those areas we might want to connect on at some point.
Okay.
So at this point, I think through what I've discussed with Kathy, we didn't feel like we needed to make the house at Franklin and Broadway put in a sidewalk as it would be a sidewalk to nowhere on South Broadway.
Right, so they're just gonna have entrance off the road into their
Yeah.
yard.
So that saved by the county doing that saves us a lot of cost if we do that at some point.
I was just curious, I thought we talked about no sidewalk, and it's like, putting all the corners in.
And you know if they're gonna go any south of Pearl Street and do any of the other Broadway?
If there was not an existing approach there, they're not putting any new approaches. They're just taking the old approaches and making them compliant.
Okay. Any other questions for Denny? Denny, compliments to your staff and your coworkers and to Phil. Things have been going great. I'd like to say we didn't miss you at all, but we did, but can't say that. But no, I mean, you did a great job working with Tyler and the rest of everybody, and you know, we were able to keep things going. So my compliments to you. If you wouldn't have trained people, you know, we wouldn't be doing this. So thank you. All right, next on our list, Village Marshal Mark Cotty.
All right, first of all, our new police officer, Chris Lane, he's in training right now. And he'll be finishing this week and the next week, and then he'll be on his own. Most of his training was geography. He already knows how to use the computer systems. He's worked as a police officer for 22 years in McLean County, so he understands how we do things. But we had to get him up to speed as to Hudson. And also, we respond a lot up to Lake Bloomington to back up the county. So we're up there a lot. You got to know your way around Lake Bloomington up there. And also, we do back up the county quite a bit at Tumwater. So we had to train him mostly on geography, just how we do things. But again, he'll finish this week and next week, and then he'll be off on his own. As you can see, I left the truck in here. So you can see it's been striped. Did a great job. Thanks, Steve, for referring us to the person that did the striping. Did a really good job. Another great thing, came in $800 under budget. That's always a good thing too. But we're waiting on the lights and some other equipment. It's back ordered because of supply chain issues. And as soon as those are shipped, then I can get the guy that does the installation out here. He can put everything together and we can get it out on the road. I have received several citizens have expressed concern about speeding on North Broadway Street, grain trucks. We deal with this probably every year during the harvest season. And again, so we'll do some extra enforcement up on North Broadway. I plan on going out and talking to the grain elevator, asking them to tell the drivers, slow down as you come into town, because as they're coming in, they are speeding. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So we just want people to comply. So we'll be up there doing some extra radar patrol. Dane and myself, we attended a training put on by the state attorney, Don Knapp, and it was an update on the Illinois Police Reform Bill. In the Illinois Police Reform Bill, if you haven't heard about it, it's a bill that's going to markedly change how police departments throughout the state do service, how we do service to our communities, requirements, training requirements, and so forth. It covers everything from equipment. We will have to get equipment, not right away, but in a couple of years, there will be some equipment purchases we'll have to make. We'll have to get body cameras by 2025. We'll have to budget for that. That's a little ways off, but we do have to get ready for that. And they've increased the training for police officers. So we'll also have to attend more training. I have to document that training and make sure that it's sent to the state of Illinois. There's also just some procedural things that I don't want to bore you with, but how we arrest people, what we can arrest people for, who gets bonded out, who doesn't have to post a bond. There's just a lot more updates that we'll attend training with the state's attorney on that. I attended the McLean County EMA Readiness and Preparedness meeting. We had supplied them with all this information, and Dave and I worked on this with Dale when he was here. And I was quite pleased to say that of all the agencies within McLean County, we were one of 2 that actually completed it on time. So we got everything done, but we're still going to have some more meetings about the preparedness and how EMA is going to move forward when we deal with disasters and disaster planning. I also attended the weekly McLean County Health Department COVID-19 meeting. It's just an update on where we're at with COVID-19 in the county. And also it ties us in if I need to get PPE, I can get some PPE equipment from the county. It won't cost us anything. And then lastly, we received a letter from Chief Deputy of McLean County thanking us again for our assistance in the apprehension of the suspect that was hiding out in the cornfields. And that's all I have.
Have any questions for Mark? Okay, thank you, Mark. Next on the agenda is the civil defense. I don't have that as far meeting. I heard at least one siren today. Were there any problems? Do we know of any problems with the sirens?
It went on.
Okay. Next, we have the citizens hearing. I know Barbie signed up. Is there anybody else? If not, Barbie, would you please state your name and address? And then go ahead.
Barbie Emmert, and I live at 204 South Washington, or Field Box 153 here in Hudson. I wanted to talk to you tonight about the Quill. So Hudson's always had a newsletter. It was Hudson Happenings and then the Quill. And a year ago, we had to go about finding a way to finance the program and to maintain it. The Quill goes to 100% of the Village of Hudson and the Hudson Township. The way it's mainly funded is we have the village, the township, and the Kuchin Foundation take over the bulk of the money. And it's split up in different ways. The village has paid $1,600, township $1,600, and then the Kuchin has a flat donation of $1,000 to pay for that. We looked at avenues, when I say we, myself, Michael Gray, Jenny Losi is our editor, and we worked with Ed Hine, and we came up with a plan to kind of try to help offset those costs for those 3 resources, and that is by advertisements. So we get 30% of business card advertisements, and there is a section in the Quill, and it says they are all our sponsors and that, and their 30% goes back between the village and the township to offset their pricing of it. And then, so thank you for your business. We have Mid-State Gutters, and we also have Country Squire here tonight that are 2 of our sponsors. So for the figures for April through September 2021, we had the local farmers market, which boosted up our percentage that we received, and that was great. And then another business also had a larger ad. Those larger ads made your discount higher for this 6 months. What I'm going to ask for the village is, a year ago, we had a 1-year commitment of the $1,600. So, but it was split into 2 checks. We wanted to make sure to do the 6 months, see how we're doing, regroup, see if there's any changes, and then do the next 6. So we did do that along the way, had meetings with Mike O'Grady and with Ed and Jenny and I getting together and going through what we need to keep up on or what change or whatever. A lot of positives, a lot of information getting out there. And that our main goal is that 100% of our residents get the information that some can't get off of internet or otherwise. So what I'm asking is for the village to vote to continue to sponsor the Quill for a maximum of $1,600 for 12 months, which would be October 21 to September 22, with the anticipation that the business advertisements will reduce the final payment. And it would be divided into 2 payments every 6 months. So what your contribution for this last 6 months was $800. And our profits off of the last sales that we've had was $325.80. So for the payment this next 6 months, instead of it being $800, it would be $474.20. I'm asking for the $1,600 max to cap it there, because in case we were to lose our advertisers here and there, I do have one that's not going to advertise through the winter, but he's going to pick back up again in the spring. So since that's gonna fluctuate, we won't have the farmer's market this 6 months. So hopefully we'll have it next 6 months. So that's why I'm asking for that. So far, you haven't had to pay that amount because we had the discount again with the businesses for the first 6 months we had. When the program first started, we were just getting at it, and I think we only had 5 months of advertisements, but still, it comes in under the $800 that we were asking. The $800 per month, per 6 months, or 6 is because just in case we lose our advertisers, that's what we started with, and we went from there and hope to keep reducing it. So does anybody have any questions about the bill or anything?
Okay, we budgeted, how much, Sarah?
Our budget is for 1,300. I think we went off of what we paid last year when we budgeted in May.
Okay.
And that would cover us till the end of our next payment anyway.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure on the timing on this.
So if it's October to September, so you'll need how many payments between now and May?
1, 2. Okay. Let's see, it is split down to October to March would be 1,
Okay,
and then March to the next September would be 2.
okay. So in this budget year, we've got enough in the budget year to make the payment now, and then next year, I think we need to plan for the 1,600 and maybe less. And that way we would be okay to make the payment from the March to September out of this year's budget.
So we're
Right
okay,
now, you're saving $325.
Yeah, so we're good budget wise this year.
we're okay for now. I guess if, when we set up our budget for next year, if you would send me an email or send Sarah an email saying, this is what you'd like us to budget for.
What month do you want that?
April would be great for me.
Okay,
I mean, actually, we start earlier than that, but if I have it, April the latest would be great.
okay. Yeah, because it will go through March, and then you guys can,
You have an idea.
yeah,
So yeah, but you,
for the next one after that.
Okay,
Do you, I don't know, because I had sent you the email, I sent Dave 2 emails, one said for 6 months, and then looking back, I realized we did a whole year last year for it, and we did it in 6 month increments and that. So do you vote tonight, or do you wait, or is there anyone that's,
If you send us a bill that will, for the next 6 months, we've already budgeted for that and approved it,
okay,
so we'll pay the bill.
all
I
right,
can get that to me.
to you.
Yep, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barb, and thank you, Ed. Appreciate you guys working on this. So. Okay, anybody have any questions for Barbie? Okay, citizens meeting hearing portion is done. Next, we have reports of standing committees, and we'll start with finance, budget, contract, and employees. Lynn?
I just had, we heard back from the attorney from Animal Control, Maclean County Animal Control. They answered the questions that we had on the original contract, so if I sent them to everybody, so if anybody had any additional questions or comments about them, we can discuss it now. Alright, so then I'd like to make a motion to approve the animal control removal agreement, and can I do them in one swoop? And the animal control shelter agreement, there's 2 different contracts.
Do we have a motion to approve the 2 different contracts for animal control and animal shelter? We have,
I'll second it.
okay, do we have any additional questions or discussion on the contracts? If not, Alton, roll call.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kathy Brooks,
Yes.
Yes.
Steve King,
Yes.
Phil Morris,
Yes.
Lynn Norris.
Yes. And that's all I have. That's it, that's all I have.
Okay, what about the removal or garbage contract?
Oh, the garbage, oh yeah, the garbage, we just finally finalized the final contract. We approved it, then it had to go into like final revisions, so we've been working with Pat's office on that. We just got went back and forth a couple times. and finally got approval that's in best interest of the village and Republic. So then I'm working with them for next steps to get it out to the public because it starts November. So we'll make everybody aware of what's gonna be going on as far as area picking up their totes and then Republic getting us theirs. So. Stay tuned.
Okay, and I know there's a lot of work you've gone through on these and a lot of tribulation, so appreciate your work on these and taking care of. What about the Unit 5 garage?
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, it's well underway. They've got most of the siding up. And then they're gonna be replacing the roof. They're doing the roof. So they've been working on it for the last couple of weeks and the siding looks to be, when I went by it this morning, it looks to be almost done. It's looking good.
Okay, I heard different things about the roof.
So I think I've gotta get confirmation on it. I think they decided to do like the metal roof on it. And I think Unit 5 is covering
Okay,
for it.
but they would need our insurance.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll put that towards it and then they'll cover the rest of it and
So,
others.
But that's not finalized yet.
No,
Okay. So, yeah, it's looking tons better.
Yeah.
So, thanks for sticking with it on that, getting that going too. Anybody have any questions for Lynn? Okay, next is Street Department, Bill Morris.
Okay, I've got a couple of things this evening. I guess I'd like to start with the vac truck, because I've got Brad on Zoom and I'd like to let him get off if he wants to after the vote. So we've had several discussions on the vac truck. I've sent out several emails to all the trustees and the mayor. I guess at this point in time, I'd like for a discussion. And if anybody has any questions, please direct those to Brad at this time. So. Anybody have any questions on the vac truck or?
What's the life of the vac truck?
We've got some units out there that are still running from the 80s, 70s. It's mostly about duty cycling, about maintenance, how you maintain it, how many hours you're going to put on it. But the unit that you're looking at has been through the chassis shop. It's been through our shop and it's in good working order. It's getting some paint work done on it right now, but it's in relatively low hours and miles, and it's in great condition. I would guess, probably a 15-year truck for your application, ballpark.
Okay.
Would depend on how many hours you put on it.
Yeah, depending on use and maintenance. All right, I was anticipating, I guess, 10 years. So more than that is very possible.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, definitely 10 years. I would think so. With the condition the unit's in and the work we've done to it, I don't see 10 years being an issue as long as it's maintained and taken care of, which I'm sure it will be.
Thank you.
Is there still a demo that you're going to be able to do for us?
Could you repeat that? It broke up on me.
Dave wanted to know, our mayor wanted to know if you're gonna be able to give us a demonstration with the truck when it's finished being painted.
Absolutely. I talked to Body Shop. We're probably a week or two out, and then my guys got to finish it. We got a few days to finish up a couple of odds and ends. But yeah, absolutely. We're going to bring it over. We're going to demonstrate it, and we're going to put it through the paces. And provided you like what you see, then hopefully it'll stay there in Hudson. And if not, we'll take it back to the shop. That's not a problem at all.
Any other questions for Brad? Brad, do you have anything else to add?
Not that I can think of other than, our new shop in Springfield, Illinois opened Monday. So we're a little closer. We've got road service and like I said, part stock and everything else. So, we're looking forward to doing business with the city. Thank you.
I was glad to see that new shop open there. So are you going to be heading that up, Brett?
I wouldn't say necessarily heading it up, but I do live in Springfield, so I'm going to be an integral part of that without a doubt. The two guys that we have in there are extremely experienced. They've been in the business for 15, 18 years. So we've got a really good group over there. So I'm looking forward to big things out of that shop for sure.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So, okay, well, again, thank you for attending with us tonight and answering questions. If there's no further questions for Brad.
I just got one.
Okay.
Is there a warranty on the equipment?
I'm sorry.
Is there any warranty that comes with it or is it right?
Yeah, we've got I believe on the proposal it's got a 90-day warranty if I remember right. I don't have it right in front of me. I apologize. I'm not in my office. I'm out on the road and trying to do the best I can here. But I believe it's got a 90-day warranty on the Vactor portion of the unit.
Any other questions? If not, then I would like to make a motion that the village purchase a 2007 year Vactor 2110 model hydrovac truck from Key Equipment, now in Springfield, Illinois, for the purchase price of $126,000.
So is that dependent on successful demonstration of the product?
Yes.
That's all in the contract, Dave. Wow.
Okay.
There's the contract.
Okay, so we have a motion to go ahead and purchase the back truck dependent on the successful demonstration. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have seconds. Is there any additional questions or discussions?
Where are you? I have a question. I'm sorry. Phil, where are you going to park this baby if we buy it in the next couple months?
It'll go in one of our bays, of our 3 bays that we have, and we're gonna move trucks around accordingly to get them into the smaller sheds, like the pickup trucks and everything, get them into the smaller sheds where we get the larger trucks in the bigger bays.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions or discussions? If not, Allison, roll call.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kathy Brooks,
Yes.
Steve King,
Yes.
Bill Norris,
Yes,
and Norris.
Yes.
thank you. Brad, if you wanna not attend our meeting anymore, you're perfectly welcome to leave us, but if you wanna attend, I know these are pretty exciting. So.
Thank you very much. I'll be in touch as soon as we're ready to bring the unit to town. Appreciate it.
All right, Brad. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, my second item tonight, I sent all the trustees and I believe the mayor. I want to bring it up for discussion. While Denny was gone, for his term there of, I forget how many days it was, at least a week or better. We were working off of the part-time help. And I just think they did a wonderful job while Denny was gone, filling in everything Denny was doing. They really didn't have to be told to do anything. They just picked up and went and did what they were supposed to be doing. I was very impressed. I think you all got my email about the water break we had one evening toward the like 4:30, 5 o'clock range, and that water leak was dug up and fixed within 2 hours. And that was a part-time employee, and that employee was Tyler F., who just took the bull by the horns and came, got the backhoe, took it up to the site, dug the hole, got down to the water leak. Mark Myers showed up. He's the water operator, needed to be on site. So Mark was available. I was there to help in any way I could. Everything went slick as a whistle, and we're very fortunate to have the help we have. And right now, Tyler got I think we ended up giving him what most employees got at budget time was 4%. And that put him at like $16.38 an hour, I believe. And I wanted to raise him a little more than that, but we couldn't do that without a big rigmarole at that time. So seeing what he did here, I'm asking the board if we can get him up in pay. And at this point in time, I'd like to see him with his qualifications of being able to run the backhoe, run the trucks. He's amazing with the equipment. So I'd like to see him making closer to $20 an hour versus a $16.38. Our other part-time employee, Logan, he started in at $15.75 an hour. And Logan's a great kid, learning really quick. Basically, Logan is mowing and weed whacking for us right now and learning, doing water stuff with Denny and drainage stuff too. So he's coming along, but Tyler has a lot more knowledge, and I'd like to see him raised up in pay to get that spread a little different between Logan and Tyler right now. And I think Tyler's willing to stay on with us as part-time, providing his job that he may get with, I don't know, City of Wilmington, is it, Sarah, or
I think the local fire department.
local fire departments. He'll stay on with us, I'm sure. So I'll open that up for discussion amongst the trustees, and please give me your input. But I'd like to see him raised up.
My opinion, it's rare that we're able to get a part-time person that's got that many skills and that good a work ethic. And I'm all for a raise like that.
Okay, appreciate that.
To show them our appreciation and to encourage them to stay with us.
Right.
I agree completely with that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Is it normally how we do raises? I don't know how it normally goes. I mean,
Truthfully,
as the trustee just,
Pat, maybe you can help us out here because in past years, I know most of the, especially salaried employees and stuff, we've handled it in closed session, but I think when you became our attorney, you said we could bring all this out on the table into open session. So that's why we're doing it in open session right now. And if we're incorrect, please let us know.
No, you're absolutely correct. Your summary of my position and prior advice is correct. And building on that, certainly if anyone wanted to discuss it and close, that's permissible, but it's a very permissible discussion subject and open as well. The other factor just to keep in mind in terms of how things are normally done, at least averaging across villages of your size, what you're essentially discussing is a merit raise. And in terms of timing and when that's done, most annual increases are done in a predictable schedule. merit raises generally are raised, much like Phil has, by a trustee or a department head who believes someone's performing at a level well in excess of what their pay is in light of the general market conditions for employment. So to the question of how is this normally done, you're essentially doing it in a like manner to what many other municipalities your size do to handle issues like this. So.
Appreciate it. One other thing to add to this is what I would like to do also, if we can give him this merit raise and give him the $20 an hour, I would like to go back retroactive, the days that he actually worked when Denny was gone. I'd like to retroactively pay him for those days, the new pay scale, if we could do that. So I'd be going back, what a week.
Would that be September 20th?
What was the date, first day you were out, Denny, remember?
2 weeks ago today.
Okay, well, Sarah would know
Yeah.
more so.
That's the 21st then.
First.
Wait a minute, wrong month. No, still. 21st.
Okay.
Okay, and from a budget perspective, we do have available to support this raise, so we wouldn't have to make any budget adjustments. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
From my perspective, with the way Public Works Department has changed over the course of the summer, I hope that you guys have liked the direction we've headed over the course of the summer and all the stuff that we've got done. And from my point, we would be nowhere near where we're at if it wasn't for Tyler. Not that Mark's not great help in the water, and yesterday with the last tree limb pickup, very important thing I forgot to mention, Ed, last tree pickup until April. So I can't express enough my gratitude for Tyler.
Okay, thanks, Denny. Any further questions on Tyler? Okay, if there's no further questions, then I'd like to make a motion to increase Tyler Ref's rate of pay to $20 an hour, retroactive from the 21st of September.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to increase Tyler's pay, retroactive to September 21st. Do we have any final questions or discussion? Not, Allison, roll call.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kathy Brooks,
Yes.
Yes.
Steve King,
Yes.
Bill Morris,
Yes,
Lynn Norris.
Yes.
thank you. That's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you, Phil. And thanks for all the time you're putting in up here.
No problem. I enjoy working with Denny and the guys. It's a lot of fun.
Keeps him occupied.
All right, next is ordinance and zoning, Kathy Brooks.
Okay, I want to start with the census item first because it's been so long. We would really like to issue that contest winner, but it's not going as well as I thought it would. The 2010 census was 1838. The 2020 census says 1753, and the 2019 American Census Survey says 2136. That's the information I have at this point. I already have a phone call in. I have to talk to the population division of the census because that's nuts. And I basically told them what I want to find out is what's the number that's going to go on the sign. And it was basically, well, these are the numbers we have, but we won't be having final numbers and something else until 2022. So I'm still in negotiations with the Census Bureau. For fun, just to keep you guys updated. Any questions on the census?
Okay, so we may not have a number until 2022.
That's what they said, but I have, like I said, I'm gonna be calling them again tomorrow. The population division. There's a lot of divisions apparently in the Census Bureau. But yeah, because I'm trying to get a firm enough number that we can issue the gift certificate to the contest winner and still, you know, be on the money, because I'm thinking probably a lot of these are only going to be one or two different, and I don't want anybody to feel like they got screwed, pardon the expression. So I just sort of an update. I am still working on it, and it's very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Wanting to delay awarding that prize, and I think that's a good call.
Yeah, like I said, because I haven't asked Sarah yet. I haven't been up there asking her what the spread is on the submissions, but I'm making the assumption that a lot of people are going to be really, really close. You know, and 10 people one way or another is going to, you know, could have an influence. Okay, the other thing I wanted to discuss was TIF for the additional bay behind the water house. We had this, the board had discussed this back in May, and I did not see in the talking points if we actually did a final vote and approval on it. We had budgeted $63,000. Denny has been exceptionally busy this year. But as I remember, he had quotes, et cetera, for that additional bay April-ish. Denny, is this statement true?
Yeah, I had a quote back for the budget time. Asked now what that quote was on the dollars. I has lost my memory.
That's okay. We all have this year. Like I said, because I remember putting in the TIF budget, and I confirmed it with Sarah that $63,000 was budgeted out of the TIF for the additional bay. And as I said, when I was reviewing the May minutes, I didn't see or understand that the board actually voted as a final approval to go ahead and start the work. And that's basically what I'm looking at. I would like to get a final approval from the board for this additional bay, which will assist in the equipment pileup that we've got. So we don't have to jack them around so much. Excuse me. But I also understand that this is not a priority right now. Getting that sidewalk done probably is, and you have other work in your priority list for Denny. But if it's approved, if it can be worked on or started or whatever, I don't know what they could do during the winter. You know, I'm not a construction engineer. But I would like to, like I said, discuss it, approve it via the board vote. I would also like to recommend that in the future, the equipment designated for Denny's department, that we use our equipment until it dies, because my understanding is, and that's one of the reasons I asked about the life of this truck, is we've got at least 5 years before we have to trade. We reach the end of the life of the equipment. Sorry, I got to talk to my speaker. I'm not ignoring you guys. We can use our equipment until it is used up. We don't have to trade it whenever we start to think that its trade-in value is going down. Because my thinking is we should use it through its life. And once it reaches the point it's no longer effective, cost effective to maintain or replace parts, then we would look for a new one. And by then our equipment budget reserve should be relatively high, and we can just go out and get what we want and not have to worry about, well, this year the resale value is going to drop $2,000, but if we keep it for another year, it's going to drop $8,000. Why should we track that with, because the guys take reasonably good care of the equipment. We can use this stuff for more than, 3 years. It's like a computer. It may have a quote unquote life of 3 years, but that doesn't mean we have to get rid of it in 3 years. We can do it for 5. Save the 2 years of cost and apply it to it even more new. That sounds stupid, but I think you understand what I mean. That is my opinion. I wanted to put it out to the board.
Okay, that part we can discuss, when you're here. I think that'd be a good discussion when everybody's here.
Okay.
Getting back to the TIF budget allocation, did that include the money for the Unit 5 garage and for the sidewalk?
The sidewalk, no, the sidewalk was not budgeted for we had budgeted for engineering, but not actually the sidewalk cost on the south side of the road. We budgeted, like I said, there were 2 items, as I remember, in the TIF budget. One was the $63,000 for the bay, and one was $7,000 or $8,000 for engineering for the sidewalk to Dollar General.
I thought we had talked about using TIF money for the garage as well as the sidewalk.
Yes, it's not in the budget, but it is available. We can use it. There's a section in the TIF that you budget in the next year what you think you're going to spend out of the TIF, but the TIF funds are actually available at all times.
Okay, how do you know that did you find it in the minutes that it said we put 63 for a building and nothing for the sidewalk?
I don't have the meeting minutes for that. That was a budget meeting. That was in April. Sarah, help me here.
I'd have to look, I don't have it right in front of me, but I could look at that and send the email. I could be wrong, but I thought there was money in there for sidewalk this year as well, but on a different line than the building, but I'd have to look. Get back to you guys.
Okay, it also talked about a new police roof being paid for partially or some TIF money. And I know that we already have some money set aside in a building fund for the bay.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm asking, as far as, I don't recall how we came up with 63,000 or whatever we came up with, but it seems like it wasn't all that building.
I show 15,000 in engineering services and then 63,000 in the TIF project line. I don't know for sure.
63 in TIF.
TIF project and then 15,000 in the TIF as well for engineering services. Engineering services.
Okay, so the other 63 could have been for multiple projects. The garage, the additional bay, possibly the roof here.
I think, Dave, but I think
No.
I think that new prices on the building, and I think it came out to 63,000. I think that's where we came up with 63. Don't you, Danny?
Also that 63, now that when I think about that, the money that we have set aside already was taxed into that and we budgeted.
What do we got, like
I have to take
24,000?
it back, I think it's like 22, 23. I don't have
22,
that right
23
now.
or 4,000?
Yeah, so if that's the case, that would make sense of that difference.
Right.
So 63 would
And
be.
I know all this was taking place when we were looking at the building next door.
Yes.
And I think it all got dropped.
One thing I think we have to probably look at is if we got that pulled back in May, most vendors now are not giving more than 30-day guarantee on the price.
Right.
Because of COVID and everything like that.
Right.
We've seen it significantly just recently. So we have to try and report all that anyway.
Yeah.
Report on.
That, the quote, I know, as the, what Aaron was saying, was good for like 2 weeks. And it said that on the paperwork, and I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what that quote was, but at that time when he gave me the quote, he said it's good for 2 weeks, and you have to tell me that you want to start within 2 weeks in order for that price to be good and for us to get it completed in this season. So, you know, we obviously didn't do that at that time, so for them to come out and get any sort of work completed in the year, I think would be unrealistic. I think we could do some groundwork in site preparation for something to take place next year, but as far as the materials and things like that, I think we're past time frame of this year.
Okay. That's fine. Like I said, that's why I wanted to bring it up. We still have that budget in there, so I guess we can use it, that portion for the police station. And I know we didn't budget for the shed revamp. That happened after budget, as I remember. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I fixed that.
Sorry.
The shed.
Yeah.
What?
Covering the rest of the roof, if they decide they want to come out.
Yeah.
And gutters.
We think the unified garage siding was paid for with TIF money. We talked about it in the budget.
Okay. I was thinking it wasn't, but that's fine. I have not heard from the Economic Corp yet. They were supposed to send me a detailed list, and at this point it's almost moot because their report is due next month.
Because that's it.
It looks like staying the same group. Okay, Kathy, did you have anything else then?
No, I do not.
Okay, Kathy. Next is Police Department, Trustee Steve.
Okay, so we're on the roof here. Came in late, so I think budgeted for the roof, I'm not sure. That's get budgeted last year for the roof.
No.
I don't think the roof repair was budgeted. We had just discussed using TIF funds. Right.
Okay. So that's where we're at on that. Tried to get more quotes. We ended up with another one. So we have Ready Roof, and these are basically apples to apples, ripping them off, putting a new roof down. Ready Roof came in at $28,272. The other builder that we got a quote was from Morton Buildings. They came in at $27,668. So they're about $500 cheaper. But where Ready Roof was asking for 50% down, and we talked about that last time. Morton Building is asking for deposit of $8,300. So, and then they then they want $8,300 down, 16,600 when it's delivered, and a final payment of 2767 when it's done. So those were the two bids that we got. Really, couldn't find anybody else that wanted to come out and give us a bid on ripping it off. Replacement. So
What's their timeframe on installation?
Well, when I spoke to the two different vendors, Morton was more specific. They expressed that they could get the job done for sure this year. Ready Roof, maybe get it done this year, but Morton said, yeah, no problem, we could get it done this year.
And they're both putting on like the same thing, neither one sticker metal or nothing, or.
It's exactly the same, that's why Steve, yeah, it's an apples to apples.
Yes. All right, so
Where's the other company house?
Washington, Illinois.
That's the new one?
Ready Roof. No, and then Morton.
More.
Yeah.
Did you have any referrals? Did you get any referrals from any of them, anybody that's used them?
I've worked with Morton Buildings before and they're a great company.
I mean, they're,
Fire station was built by Morton Building.
Yeah, Morton Built, yeah, that fire station was built by Morton. They did a great job. They've got good reputation.
Mark, you talked to both of them?
Yes,
Do you feel strongly one way or another, like?
I really liked the representative from Morton Building. He really took a lot of time to explain exactly what he was going to do. And I could just tell that he had the expertise. I mean, this is what they do. They build metal buildings. And I also got a quote from him on a different issue about there's some issues with the siding that we're gonna have to deal with. But I had a really good feeling about the Morton.
Yeah, I'd go with them based on that they can guarantee more when they can get the job done. I mean, $500 difference, I'd go with the guys who have a better story.
Are these both the 40-year life ones?
yes.
What's the life?
When I talked to both of them, Kathy, the life expectancy of the type of roof they're gonna replace, they said it should last as long as the roof that you have now. So this roof has lasted 60 years, well, 57 years, I should say. So they always say within the ballpark of 40 to 50 years. As long as you maintain the roof and do what you're supposed to do, because there will be times where you may have to do, painting or something like that on the top of the roof. But as long as you do what you're told, it should last.
Yeah, I just was asking because the last quote, one of them I seem to remember had a 15-year life on it.
Yes, but that was, a spray sealant. And I think you decided at the last meeting that what we're gonna do is just do it the right way. And
Okay.
the roof and put on a new roof.
I thought we had, but it's a confusion day.
Okay, and this is, as far as the urgency of this goes, we did not budget for a new roof. We have not set up any reserve funds, but we did have some water leaks that Dale was able to work on or get some people on to fix. And as far as I know, the leaks are fixed right now, aren't they? There weren't any new leaks that popped up.
No, we haven't had any new.
So
I would suggest going ahead, since we're not going to do the bay or that 63,000 that's budgeted, use that for the police station roof. That's what I would suggest.
okay, so do we agree that we are not going to be doing any building addition onto the garage this budget year?
Not this season, no. It'll have to wait till next year. It's too late in the season, but from what Denny says, for them to be able to come in and do the work.
Not a season, a budget year. That's what I'm asking.
Right, but the budget year starts May 1st. So you're talking between now and April 30th, and I don't believe that most people would want that type of heavy-duty construction during that period.
Agreed.
Maybe I'm wrong. You know, I don't know. Like I said, construction is not my strong suit.
I just want to make sure we agree that we're putting off building a bay for the garage until at least next budget year.
We could probably do some site work, then if you have time to do the site work,
Right.
no construction, no structural until next spring possibly. Right.
I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I have to leave that to Denny and Phil because they're more construction oriented than I am. I'm not allowed to use screwdrivers, so.
Okay, Abby, and have you talked to the TIF group about using TIF funding for this?
Actually, yes, I did. She said that was fine.
Okay.
It's a public event. Sarah has already got the form to submit it once we get the invoices. Public, whatever, public something.
Abby, does the TIF money carry over to the next budget year?
No, it's, the TIF budget per se is just the village's designation. TIF themselves, they never see that budget. The Gwen and them, they just see what we submit to them.
Well, what I was getting at was if we use roughly $28,000 of that TIF money for the police roof, and then the money we have in the building fund for the addition, we'd almost have enough TIF money still budgeted to cover the total project if it carries over. I mean, we can, it's just a budget figure for us, the TIF budget figure, right?
Right, it's just a number for us.
We budget that next season.
Right, it's a way to keep track of how much we anticipate taking out of the TIF so that we know how much remains for future activities.
Denny and I just have to get new pricing on the construction of the bay for next spring.
Right, well, we can just beef up the budget at budget time on the TIF for it. You know, if we have, well, that's the thing, if this guy's only got a 2-week lag, that's really tight.
What it is then, when we get the new bid. How much are we putting in that budget, you know, for the building fund per year?
I would have to look, we put in like 5,000, I think, and then whatever was remaining from building maintenance is, don't quote me, I'd have to look at that, but I think that's
So I
what's
don't know
happening.
if we have another 5 to go in there next year, or if we just, we can deal with it at budget
We
time.
can look at that, yeah.
Yep.
I have noticed the last couple times that it rained, there is a leak in the roof and the bottom shed. I had said that to Steve, I think at the last board meeting, not sure what was gonna happen here, but I haven't had a chance to get up there and see the extent of what the problem may be, so I'll try to do that in the next few days.
Hey, Kathy, can I ask a question on the TIF of you?
Sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the TIF money is available whenever you want to use it, but we use it as a budgetary tool for our own internal purposes. So you're not limited, say, if you budgeted $100,000 out of the TIF for a fiscal year, you don't have to spend it, or you could actually legitimately spend more than that. It's just an internal tool for ourselves. I always thought the TIF money was available
That is absolutely correct.
You would have to amend your budget, though. You can't spend money if it's not budgeted, but you can readily do so. 100%, you could spend every dime of TIF money you have, but the budget is more than just an internal control. You would have to amend it if you're going to spend more than what you budgeted, but that can be done readily.
Even though the TIF is a separate budget?
It's on your same, it's a part of your TIF budget is included on your appropriation ordinance. It's not. Mine, I'm not sure I don't have your appropriation in front of me.
Okay. But we just have to vote to amend the budget, correct?
Yeah, it's a simple process. Yeah, it's a simple process to do so. I'm not undermining the conclusion you both expressed I agree with, which is you can spend the money if you see fit in excess of the budget. You just have to go through an extra step to amend the budget to allow that expenditure. But TIF money is a separate and segregated pot. And if you don't spend budgeted funds, it just stays in that pot and you can budget it next year. And if you want to spend more out of that pot, you can. Just an extra step if it's over budgeted amounts.
So everybody's right.
Okay, so Steve, what do you want to do?
Well, make a motion to accept Morton Buildings proposal of $27,668 to repair and replace the roof here at the police station.
I'll second that.
What was the amount again?
$27,668. To use that TIF.
Motion and a second to go ahead and get the roof on the police building replaced for a bid of $27,668 from Morton. Does the board members have any additional questions? Not Sarah. Allison, roll call.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kathy Brooks,
Yes.
Steve King.
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris.
Yes.
All right, I'll let you.
And just, I know we've talked about the Hudson sign that was damaged out here on the west side. Had an idea of moving the one on the north side over there to replace it. And then I talked to Jacob, the guy that made our other signs. He's got a sign like that, but it'd be a little bit thicker, more durable. It'd be about the same size, 7 foot by 3 foot. And would put it out there on the north end, and that would run more around $1,200 to $1,500 instead of, I think the quote over there was like $3,000 to $4,000 for a new sign. So north end not being main county road and more of that way we just have, and it would be one-sided like that one out there, and then have white pillar posts on both sides. And we could have, the design would be about the same with their logo and everything else, but it'd just be more of the, like a sign instead of the.
It'd be a metal sign.
Metal sign, there we go. Instead of the thing, then take the structured sign that's there, and replace the one on the west side, so then we're not buying a whole other new sign. So it's an idea with the, I'm not saying that we do that, by just throwing it out there as an option to talk about like that. I don't know where else we're at on.
I'm gonna suggest go ahead and move the north or the north one to the west side.
Can you do that? Is that possible?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
I mean, I would hope that the posts are, they're there, or these posts were failed. So we can certainly try.
Okay. I mean, I guess we should ask what the possibility of moving that sign would be, but if we could do that.
We'll know when we're doing it.
Okay.
All right.
And then social media, talked to Mark about Mark on some police stations and local places that have the social media policies. putting it together, we're gonna make a rough draft, and then I'll email it out to everybody. Get everybody's opinion on it, red ink it, and then we'll just come up with a policy for the town, village. So next couple of days, I'll email that out to everybody.
Thanks for your work on
And,
that.
and that should be it for me.
Okay, so on the sign, we know what a replacement will cost. We're gonna see if we can move the one from the north side to the
Get that
west side
moved.
without breaking it. I don't know if we budgeted any money for a new sign. Sarah, do you recall?
I don't think that we did. I'd have to look back. Hopefully we did, because at that point we didn't have a solid idea of what we were gonna do. But I can look at that.
Because I think the original estimate came in at $3,000 or $4,000. I know we weren't gonna spend that.
Right, so this was just an option to look at.
So do we want to wait till next budget year then to look at replacing the broken one? Or do we want to find some money now to put up a new sign? 15 to 1,600, that we price
That's
range.
that's what he was thinking it was gonna run around there, yeah.
So what do the trustees want to do with that?
We could just have no sign there, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of a local into town to come into, like you're saying, it's not really a,
It's not that main fairway.
yeah.
If you're coming down that road, you know you're coming to Hudson.
Maybe we can put up a big sign that says grain trucks slow down.
There we go.
I like that one.
I'm sorry, I should have.
So we can move it and
Yeah.
discuss what we want to do in the future.
Okay.
All right.
Steve, do you have anything else? All right, thank you. Next, we have Water Department, Joe.
I didn't put, discuss and vote, I don't know if we can vote, because I don't have anything written up, but, the building going in there where the house burned down wants to use PEX, we told them that was okay. Our ordinances say copper, probably because it was written back when we had lead, and then we specified copper in here. The ordinance actually says, service connection is made, shall be constructed of type K copper pipe with a minimum of 3/4 inch inside diameter, or as specified by the Illinois Plumbing Code. And I'm wondering why we can't just remove the copper part and just say whatever specified by the Illinois Plumbing Code. Because something will replace PEX at some point. Or do we want to just say copper or PEX? Does anybody have an opinion on how it should read? Especially Danny or Mark.
I don't know what would be proper legal terminology, maybe
Yes.
Pat could help
I
out
think
there,
that
but
question.
something that would state EPA compliance for a
Right.
service connection, because they're ultimately the one that's going to be putting forth to us what we need to have as a service compliant material.
Yeah, PEX might even be okay now, because it literally says copper or as specified by the Illinois Plumbing Code. I don't know if that order is supposed to be for the 3/4 inch part. That's where you end up arguing in court, I guess, but it's an or. So I don't know if we just take the copper out, or if we say copper or PEX. Pat, do you have a preference?
Yeah, I think you could reference plumbing code. And I'm not that familiar offhand with where the plumbing code stops and where EPA guidance picks up on service connections, but we could reconcile. I mean, I'm sure the Illinois Plumbing Code is consistent with Illinois EPA's requirements, but we could, reference both standards and eliminate the specific reference to copper. So yeah, I think that could be cleaned up.
Okay, Kathy, I'll send you something on this for the ordinance or whatever, I guess.
Okay, and then I'll have Pat write it.
Right then, we can vote on it, or,
Yes.
okay, so we'll vote next time, but I'll get it written up. That was all I had.
Does it need to change before they can move forward?
Well, we told him to go ahead, right? Denny's the inspector, so.
Okay.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead, Pat.
I was just going to add that based on the existing code language saying or is approved by the Illinois Plumbing Code, I'm sure PEX, it used to be called Polytube. I mean, that's been approved for water service connections for 20 years or more under the Illinois Plumbing Code, because I'm just certain of that. So I think your existing code allows what they're doing. What we're doing is just a cleanup. So I agree with the conclusion expressed by Joe that we don't have to get that done before.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say when he started saying that. So the point of the PACs is that as far as the EPA is concerned, with my understanding, and Mark realized that PACs is a dead issue as far as monitoring. If your service line is PACs, there's no concern of any contaminants. So by moving forward and updating that we are officially allowing that, not that the Illinois Plumbing Code would not allow that, it makes it better for us on compliance.
I have a question. What is PAX?
Plastic.
What is,
Plastic?
what is PEX?
Yes.
It's that flexible plastic stuff, right? You'll see it at the hardware stores. It's been around for a long time.
Oh, that, okay. I thought that was called something else.
It probably is sometimes.
Okay, so we need something in front of us to actually vote on it.
Okay.
I think everybody approves the change.
Yeah, I'll work with them to make it more generic so we don't change it again.
Okay. Joe, you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Next is public property. Aaron?
I think the only thing I really got is I'm gonna be working with Steve over the next couple of weeks for the next meeting to discuss the batter's boxes, sinking of the park, and what we can get done with that before, after this season kind of ends and before we get into the next baseball season. And then I'll probably reach out to Denny sometime in the next couple of weeks to look at that concrete up around the seating area and see what we can do this fall before we get into the season. That's about it.
Okay. There are two additional things that I had in my notes I haven't brought up yet. One, I want the trustees to think about whether or not we want to continue to stream our meetings. There are some audio issues the way we're doing it right now on our way, and so I'm not going to ask for a vote tonight, but I'm going to ask for opinions or votes next week or next month at our meeting and make a decision whether or not we want to stream. As long as we're under the pandemic, we can continue to use Zoom for trustee attendance. Once the pandemic is over, the reasons you can use Zoom really tighten up. So I don't recall what they are, but they're very narrow in scope. I know the IML is trying to change that and have the attendance from Zoom be wide open like it is now. But that's not a law yet. So anyway, I want you to think about streaming, whether we want to stream the meetings or not, and I'll bring it up next month. And the next thing is the historic building that we have down by the ballpark needs some work. I started an effort with the History Club about 5 or 6 years ago to get some looked at. And the type of work to be done is the History Club has really changed their mind. We're going to have some of the bricks replaced, some of it tuck pointed and then sealed. And the cost will be probably $1,000 to $1,500. And we had, I think, $4,500 set in reserve for that. So it'll come in way under what we had originally estimated. So the gentleman that was going to do that work came down with COVID, and so he hasn't started yet, but he'll probably be starting within a week or two. So I think we got a real good price on that. History Club is happy. Because originally it was going to cost $8,000 to $9,000 to do what they wanted to do. So So if you see somebody working up there on that building, it's being repaired. Many of you have ever been inside that building, but the school does use it. They have, I don't know what grades it is, but they have kids go down there every year and look at it. And their history club has people inside it talking about the house. The school kids can't believe that that was the only part of the house that they raised 6 kids in. You get questions like, where's the bathroom? And different things like that. And it's a real eye opener for the kids to go in there. So it's good that we still have it and that school kids can get in it and that the history club is interested in working with the teachers on that. So. All right, next item on their agenda is to move into closed session if needed, and we have nothing to move into closed session. So that will be skipped. We're still in open session. Additional business. If not, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Second. Second. Allison, roll call.
Joe Boyd.
Yes.
Marty Brooks.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris.
Yes.
All right, I want to thank everyone tonight. I had a good meeting, got a lot done, I think. So thank you. And